And take three. Winners of the 2016 NBA Draft. A hell of a draft night, a lot of fun. Internet reaction was fantastic. Twitter was fantastic. We're going to start with the winners before we go into a separate clip on the losers where there's a lot of rants to be had. But in terms of the positives of the 2016 NBA Draft, first off, we have to give you the draft list. Graphic number 1 will go through 1 through 10. We knew Ben Simmons was going to be number 1. We knew Brandon Ingram was going to be number 2. And then the NBA Draft started. So let's go to element number 1, which is the NBA Draft order 1 through 10. All right, so after pick number 2, Jaylen Brown. Francis, you want to name me one of the people who said Jaylen Brown should be the number 3 pick in the NBA Draft?
Jason, Mo Money, Mankiewicz-Rubin.
That's right, that was me. He was going to be number 3 or he was going to be number 10, which is a hell of a difference. But Dragon Bender, I was 5 for 5, and then Buddy Hield ruined everything for me. I actually thought Jamal Murray was going to go number 6.
I actually thought Buddy Hield was going to be 5.
Yeah, I can also throw some points my way. I get points. This was at midnight. I have so many points because Buddy Hield was not a top 3 pick because he's not a top 3 pick. My God, I get it. He's a scorer. I understand that. I like Buddy Hield. I'm going to root for Buddy Hield. I love that he's from the Bahamas. I love his type of game. I think it's great for the NBA. One-dimensional scorer who can develop other dimensions to his game, but he can shoot. And that's great specifically for the New Orleans Pelicans because they need scores. Free agency's coming up. They're going to lose some guys. Injuries riddled them all last season. Nice to see a youth scorer to be paired with Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I was going to say, if there's anyone that you want to try and, I would say, sculpt you through the process in which it is developing your game further in the NBA, it's soon to be potentially one of the best players to have come out of a draft in recent years is Anthony Davis, who's already proven that at the moment. So I think that he's in good company there. But Jason, we both deserve points if we're going to jump down a little bit.
Because you had 10. Jakob Poeltl at number 9? No.
Yeah.
Actually, it's Jakob. I'm sorry.
Jakob.
But Thon Maker at number 10.
We did the clip on him. We highlighted this guy's insane athleticism for his 7-foot size.
He's like 7 feet tall, but he's got like a 13-foot wingspan.
Yeah, he is humongous, right? No doubt the guy needs to fill out a little bit, which I also think Brandon Ingram has to fill out a little bit. But we talked about his highlight tape. There's questions of whether he's 19 or whether he's 28. He's not that one guy who was playing basketball when he was like 30. What was that guy? Remember we did the story when the basketball player
the guy was
playing. And that is it was a valid question from some people because someone at that size you don't expect to be 19 years of age. But I am thoroughly excited to see this guy play in the NBA, especially going to Milwaukee, which I thought was an interesting pickup.
So one of the winningest tweets, or at least winningest moments, was when I think the Ringer does a great job when it came to the NBA Draft recap that they did last night around like midnight. It came out, and they said like they can live out Vivek Ranadive, who's the owner of the Kings, who had once said one of the dumbest things in basketball history, which is, I think we could play 4-on-5 with a cherry picker.
Yeah.
Play 4-on-5 with the cherry picker. Although with the amount of limbs and length of limbs between Giannis, Chris Middleton, Jabari Parker, and Thon Maker, who again, Thon Maker most likely D-League for a year, if not 2. He's got so much to develop. It's a huge gamble. I like gambles on Thon Maker. That's why I'm going to call the Bucks a winner, right? But I'm going to call in another clip that we're doing later, Marquise Chris a loser, right? And even though they're similar in length, Thon Maker at least is look, if it pays off, my God, the potential that people say about him, he could be one of the most devastating talents we've ever seen. Or he could be an enormous bust and we won't see him. Regardless, I think the Bucks are in such a good standing right now with their core, with Jason Kidd coming back and point Giannis as we saw last season, that it's not like anybody else, it's maybe Sabonis, but it's not like he was going to fit in that team either. So I'm going to call the Bucks. I can't believe I'm calling them my first, but winner.
Yeah, and Jason, prepare yourself. Hold on to the table because a baseball term's coming your way. Many people thought that this decision to take Thon Maker was out of left field. But according to Jason Kidd, it wasn't. It was planned. They were thoroughly, I would say, focused on taking Jason's just dead.
So good.
I killed him after that left field. Many people thought this was a surprise pick, but not according to Jason Kidd. He said that Milwaukee, as far as he knew, have always been focused on Thon Maker in this draft. And I think that when you pick someone who not a lot of people had in their top 10, many people didn't have them in their top 20.
Somebody had it in the second round.
Yeah, when you have someone
Nobody
like that,
in our comment section did either, by the way, so nobody won a T-shirt.
When you pick someone like that, there has to be some sort of further incentive behind it. There has to be some sort of plan in place. Like you mentioned, maybe go to the D-League.
But 1 through 10, again, Ben Simmons and Brandon Ingram, of course, are winners. They're number 1, number 2 overall picks in the draft, and they could have either gone 1 or 2. They both have different skill sets. Obviously, we won't know. They could be busts. They could be greatness. We won't know until, obviously, the season begins. But back to that first graphic, number 1 with the draft order, because there's a few other winners on that draft. Minnesota, Kris Dunn, enormous winner. First of all, if you're not rooting for Kris Dunn, this guy's background he had a tough upbringing, man. And, I mean, you were reading the story from USA Today. They were one of the first to really go into it. Kris Dunn played one-on-one Kids for Cash when his mother was in jail for months at a time. Never really met his father until later in his life, who found out what was going on with his family history. His older brother, who was his father figure and wasn't that much older than him, rolled dice to make money. So Kris Dunn, it's a rags to riches type of story. He played 4 years at Providence. He really grew into his body, and he's an NBA-ready body. But the reason why he's the biggest winner, well, for one, you get to join Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, 2 of the best young players in the game. And for number 2, you're going to go and play for Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau is a defensive-minded specialist. He was great with the Bulls, really helped put them in a playoff contention, not just playoff contention, but Eastern Conference Finals contention. And Kris Dunn is a defensive specialist point guard. Therefore, if there is, in fact, at one point down the road a Jimmy Butler trade, the Timberwolves are still winners, because if indeed it is Kris Dunn going to the Bulls in some sort of deal for Jimmy Butler, well, then you get Jimmy Butler, another great two-way guard. Yeah. And if you keep Kris Dunn, it probably marks the end of the Ricky Rubio era, if you will, for the Timberwolves, and you get to be paired up again with a young, talented NBA League Pass MVP type of team.
Yeah, I really like what's going on with Minnesota. They're one of the funniest teams I like to watch because I feel like I don't feel like they heap an enormous amount of pressure on their young talent that's coming through with Karl Anthony Towns.
Watch him grow.
Yeah, and Andrew Wiggins. But I think there's enough of a focus on their talent to allow them to push forward. I mean, do I see it as an immediate rebuild? No, but they're one of the teams that's smarter and looking to build not for tomorrow, but obviously for the next 2 or 3 years. And who can argue against that? There's teams out there that have tried the immediate fix. And we don't know whether or not it's going to work until it pans out, whether Rap Derrick Rose. God bless you. We will see. But I am always going to root for a team that's looking to try and build up the youth and is trying to put some focus on that. So, of a top 5 pick, I think out of the top 5 players coming in, I think Dunn comes in with the least pressure when he goes into this team. You look at Brandon Ingram and you look at Ben Simmons going to 2 tortured franchises. They're going to be expected to come in and deliver immediately.
Yes.
Whereas I think someone like Kris Dunn going to a team like Minnesota, I think it's a good choice. Whether they trade him out or not, you mentioned it. Jimmy Butler comes in. It's not a bad day at the office. But I still think that if he stays with Minnesota, they're going to be a team to watch next season.
Oh, they're easily a team to watch. They can contend for a playoff spot next year, and in 2 years, they could be an actual contender for the Western Conference based on the growth, based on what we're seeing. All right, so real quick, 11 through 20, then 21 through 30. I just have 2 winners through 11 through 20, and then we got to wrap up and get to our losers in another clip, which will be a little bit more fun. So graphic number 2, the sandwiched portion of the first round of the NBA draft, Damontis Sabonis. The Thunder are huge winners, and not because of Damontis Sabonis. It's a nice pickup. But the fact that they traded Serge Ibaka, who wasn't fitting over the last 2 years with the Thunder, to bring in Victor Oladipo and joining Russell Westbrook, super athletic, both great on both ends of the floor. My God, and you pick up Ersan Ilyasova. Sam Presti, I believe, is the general manager for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Take a bow, sir.
Take a boo.
Take a bow. A boo?
A boo.
Unbelievably done job. And wait till we get to the loser's side, because the Magic, man, make me want to rip my hair out. I think Chicago did great.
Orlando.
I think Chicago did great with Denzel Valentine. I like the Michigan State products. I like the guys that have come out of there. Draymond Green, for example. Denzel Valentine, too small to be a power forward, too not the right size to be a small forward either. And they list him as a shooting guard as the NBA gets bigger or smaller. Like, I think Chicago, depending on what happens in their rebuild or if they keep Butler, Valentine's a talented player. And then lastly, I thought Wade Baldwin was a great pickup. I tweeted out early on that as the point guard started to go, after Jamal Murray, which is another great pickup, after all the guards started to go, Buddy Hield and Kris Dunn, the backcourt players, right? Wade Baldwin's the type of guy who can create.
Yep.
He can create off the dribble pretty well. He did it well on Vanderbilt, and I thought that with Mike Conley likely gone, you get your immediate young replacement to fill him in right there. In terms of picks 21 through 30, guys like Damian Jones and Vanderbilt going to Golden State and DeJounte Murray, point guard for Washington, going to San Antonio, you can never discredit the front offices of those two teams. Obviously, those are winners. And then, of course, Dan's Los Angeles Clippers pick up Bryce Johnson. Don't forget how dominant he was in college. We'll see how that transition comes. I like Bryce Johnson. But more important than anybody else on that list, Furkan Korkmaz.
Furkan Korkmaz.
From Turkey, the forward, Francis. Also joining Ben Simmons in Philadelphia, right? He's a big winner. Why? Run the tape.
International basketball.
There it is. Very true.
So many international basketball players coming in, and I'm excited to see. I mean, if they go along with the mighty Godzingis, then you never know what might happen. There could be a big. I'm not even going to allude to the fact that it could be something that's happening. It is happening. International basketball players have been around, and they continue to be around.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how they pan out in the future. But it's good to see Turkey being represented. It's good to see France being represented.
A lot of French, yeah.
We're waiting on the Scottish. Where's Doug McBunkets?
Henrik Larsson.
Doug McDunknuckets. Who's Doug McBuckets? Anyway, he already plays with
the Bulls.
The Bulls.
Down
But
Bulls.
we need a Doug McBuckets from Scotland because that is a Scottish/Irish name.
So
we'll see if John Smith, the most common name in Scotland,
Joe
emerges from the dust and dunks from 7'3". Interested.
All right, comment below what you guys think of the NBA draft. Who are your winners? We're going to do our losers. They're coming right up. If you're here around 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, then both clips are up. They're linked back and forth to each other. Check out the losers. Make sure to comment below with your winners. Sorry to the NBA draft contest. Nobody got the top 10 right, so nobody gets a T-shirt. I get a T-shirt, though. Francis gets a T-shirt, so there it is. See you next time.